Welcome to 101. I'm Greg Bassett, your host from the Salisbury Independent newspaper. It's a big day here at PAC 14. They're all big. We've got Zach Evans in the house to talk about my favorite event of the year, the Wicomico County Fair. Welcome, Zach.
Thank you, Greg. It's good to be here with you, and I appreciate that. It's become my favorite event of the year as well.
Well, again, it's one of those things I thought this isn't going to work, and wow, what a great, successful thing this has turned into. Is it 5 years now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
yep.
okay. Yeah.
This will be the 5th year since we've sort of rebranded, revamped things, and kind of changed the layout and the schedule a little bit.
Right. And it used to be the old farm and home show.
Yeah, so if you tie that into it, we're really celebrating 83, 84 years worth of traditions here on the Lower Shore. And we still have all the components of the old farm and home show. Actually, the nonprofit organization that runs the event is still the Wicomico Farm and Home Show. So we maintain that heritage and that history.
It's at Winter Place Park.
Yes, sir.
It's in August.
It's in August.
What are the dates this year?
So it's the third weekend in August, which this year it's a little early. It'll be August 16th, 17th, and 18th. Okay. And that's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. One thing we're doing a little bit different this year, Greg, and we're hoping that it'll bring more folks out that first night on Friday. We've always started around 2 p.m. on Friday because we have so many livestock showmen that we want to get through throughout the course of the weekend, try to have it wrapped up by Sunday. We're actually going to kick things back a little bit. We're going to start around 4 p.m. this year. Try to beat some of the heat on Friday evening, but also try to align a little more appropriately with folks' work schedules and things like that. They can get the kids out there on Friday evening.
Right. It's always hot there, but the way it's set up, it's fine.
Yeah, it's hot. What are you going to do? It's third week in August, right? So it just, conveniently enough, it'll be the hottest week of the year if it strikes like it always has. But I think with the layout, we've got plenty of shaded areas. We've got some indoor areas that are, they're not air conditioned, but they're cool. We've got big poultry fans running all the time, a lot of good ventilation. So there's areas for relief, and of course you can always grab something cold to drink. You can grab ice cream and refreshments like that from our vendors, snow cones. So there's ways to beat the heat.
Right. I think it's a good draw. There's people from everywhere there.
Seems to be. So because it's a free event, and we don't charge for parking, we don't charge for admission, it's hard to touch everybody when they come through the gates and figure out where they're coming from exactly. But we use things like registration numbers, and we use things like the surveys that we post online. We do ask people for their zip code, when we do that. So we're finding that it's all over the Lower Shore. We're getting the Tri-County area here in Maryland, but we're also pulling folks from Sussex County. We're pulling folks from the Eastern Shore of Virginia that are coming up to see us. And then occasionally it seems like we must be getting someone stopping in from Ocean City, who's on the way home, or on the way to the beach, because we're right there on that 50 corridor, which makes it convenient to find us.
Plenty to walk around and look at.
Yeah. There's all of the fan favorites, and now we call them the staples of the event that have been big hits in these last 4 years. They're all going to be back. So you're not going to miss anything that you've really come to enjoy. But we are excited. We're introducing some new stuff this year.
What's new?
So we're calling it the Renaissance Ring. So it's still, I won't say it's early on, but we're still drilling down a little bit of the scheduling there. But essentially, it's going to be a combination of Renaissance style performers, so they'll be in authentic sort of clothing and they'll have gear from that era.
Right.
We're going to have folks that are dressed up in suits of armor.
Right.
And they're going to be doing some demonstrations. There will be one-on-one combat, sword fighting, things like that. No one will get hurt. It's all just for show. And we're trying to bring in some vendors also, like some artisan and craft vendors also associated with that Renaissance era. So maybe like a blacksmith and a farrier, things like that to show folks sort of that old world way, how we used to get stuff done. And one of the things I'm most excited about the Renaissance Ring is we're actually bringing in the Eastern Shore Jousting Association. So there's going to be some jousting. The Maryland State Sport, of course,
the Maryland State Sport.
Is jousting.
Yeah.
So we thought, what better for heritage? There will be some of the ring targets and some targets set up, and then we're going to try to get some live action jousting. We've got Sir Barkhan, who's a knight who performs regularly in the area. We're going to have him come in with hopefully a competitor on horseback.
Wow.
And we're going to see some folks in suits of armor
Maybe
doing
some
jousting.
blood? Get some blood going?
I'm going to try. We've got the EMTs there. We don't want them to be busy. So hopefully no blood, but it's going to be exciting.
The horses are my favorite thing. I love to watch the kids with the horses.
Yeah, so you're going to have the livestock rodeo folks will be there again. And then the mounted shooters, and they have all
They're
age
amazing as
classes.
well.
They're
Yeah.
going to be there as well. So again, people doing things from the back of horses that I can't seem to figure out how to do on my own 2 feet.
Yeah.
The Maryland High School Rodeo does a really cool job. I mean, if you think about that, they essentially put on a full-scale rodeo.
Right.
And it's teenagers, with the help from their parents, who
Right.
are great, of course, and come in. But these kids do a really good job, and it's a circuit. They do it all around the country when they're competing. So I always look forward to that. That's going to kick off this Friday. Because we're not starting until 4, we're going to hold off starting those folks until probably around 6. Same thing. That way they can get in, get set up. Their parents can come join them. We want it to be a family event, and we understand that a lot of folks, even though it's summer, it's Friday afternoon, they're working.
Right.
So.
Yeah, those kids with the horses, you can tell the bond that they have and the work that they do and just the closeness. It's just really amazing to see.
It is amazing, and in that same respect, we've got the livestock showman down in the livestock barn, and it's the same kind of thing.
Right.
You look at these children, and a lot of the times the animals they're showing are heavier than them.
Right.
They're stronger than them. Right. Sometimes they're even older than them.
Yeah.
So it's incredible to see the bond that they're able to develop.
And they've raised most of them.
And they've raised them.
Yeah,
so
from the beginning.
You think about how tough it is to train your dog to break some of those bad habits.
Right.
These kids only have sometimes, from spring until summer show.
Yeah.
To create that bond and sort of kick those bad habits and reinforce some good behavior. And that's really all it is. It's time and it's effort that goes into it. If you've grown up in a rural area, it's not uncommon to see somebody walking their dog down the street.
Yeah.
It's also not uncommon to see somebody walking their sheep or their pig or their
Right.
or their market goat down the street. So it's kind of neat. It's a unique perspective that not everybody gets, and that's one of my favorite parts of the fair. Is the bond that the kids have with the animals and the livestock and the equine as well.
My other favorite thing, and this is so silly, is that dumb little train thing that runs through the park, and the kids love getting on this thing.
Yeah. So that's out of Hebron,
Right.
from the train depot.
Right.
And they do a great job, and God bless them because
The kids
it's hot.
love it.
The kids love it, and the gentlemen, there's 3 or 4 guys who rotate in and out and
Yeah.
take shifts. And if you think about Saturday, that's a 12-hour day. We're out there 10 to 10.
Yeah.
And that little train's running 10 to 10.
I would be one of those guys going, I got to do this another lap of this.
Yeah, and it's not a big route. you
Right.
know? So I can imagine
And
it becomes
kids wanting to
redundant.
fall off or jump, just all that tension. But the grins are incredible.
They love it, and it's nice. We've got the carnival rides and we've got stuff like that. But as you know, not all little ones are well suited on those big rides.
Right.
Not all of them feel comfortable doing it. So if nothing else, it's a nice way to sort of, get them out of the stroller, get them into something like that, and they look forward to it. I think every year. That's one of the first questions we get because it's not explicitly on the schedule, but the little train will be there. It will be running.
Right.
And just when you hear that horn, be sure to hop out.
Get out of the way.
Yeah, because you don't want to slow the progress.
Right.
That guy's got places to be.
Right. Who are your sponsors this year? Who do you want to thank?
Yeah, so of course, huge thanks to our biggest sponsors, our presenting sponsors. Every year that's been Purdue Farms and Toyota. They're incredible. Without our community sponsors, we wouldn't be able to do the things we do. Some of our other top tier sponsors I always like to mention, McIntyre's Electrical Service.
John McIntyre's, what a great guy.
He is, and what's lost on a lot of folks, and early on it was lost on me getting started, we essentially build a little city.
Right.
The infrastructure's not there. You don't see buildings. It's a lot of tents and semi-permanent things
Right.
like that. But when you talk about the electrical and the water that we have to run on site,
Right.
it's the same.
You see a lot of temporary electrical stuff in there.
You see a
which
lot of
he's put
temporary
in.
electric,
Yeah.
a lot of panels,
Yeah.
a lot of lines that we run and we kind of cover with conduit and things like that to protect the patrons. But you're providing the same level of service that you would in a commercial building. So it's no easy feat, and because of weather, because it's an outdoor event, things like security, it's not like we can lay this thing out 30 days in advance.
Right.
We're typically doing it 2-3 days in advance. And John and his guys work in tandem with the county recreation parks and tourism folks and the staff electricians they have. They do an incredible job.
Yeah.
So I can't thank them enough because without folks like John, we wouldn't be able to get this thing
Yeah.
done. A couple other sponsors, who have helped sort of contribute to the footprint and the infrastructure there. Top City, last year they were a huge donor for us. They actually donated our new footbridge that we have, which gives you access from the Little League parking lots right to the carriage house, which is nice. So Top City, we always throw them a huge thanks. And then, and then we've got a lot of media sponsors as well. We've got the iHeartRadio group. We've got Adams Radio. We've got the Salisbury Independent, our exclusive print.
Whoever they are.
Yeah, our exclusive print sponsor. So, it's great. We use pretty much every approach when it comes to marketing and advertising this event. And when you think about that, you familiar with the business. Without community partners, a free event with a budget like we have that's comprised solely of community sponsors and donors, we wouldn't be able to have that advertising presence. So our community partners in the media, realm, they do they do a great job for us.
Well, in my work, I deal with a community calendar every day, but every year things come up, and I'm like, oh my gosh, the county fair is next week. It should be ingrained in me, but it's not. I need to be reminded somehow.
It should be ingrained in me too.
I think people live that way. They forget that things are coming up.
We do, and look, it's 2019, right? We're so busy,
right?
And we've got access to infinite information, which means that our networks have grown. The people that we spend time with and the people we're able to engage daily have grown. So we realize that as a county fair, we're not only competing with other similar venues and activities, we're competing with everything.
Right.
Anything someone could do on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday is now our competition.
Right.
And I think that's the world we live in, to your point. You get so caught up in the hustle and bustle. You've got wedding invitations, birthday invitations, you've this, that, Little League, and all of a sudden you've missed the carnival,
right?
Or you've missed the fair. So we really try to do a shotgun blast approach when it comes to advertising. Starting about now for the next 30 days.
Right.
If you don't see a billboard, a television commercial, or hear a radio spot advertising the county fair, we've done something wrong.
Right. We haven't stressed the dates. What are the dates of this?
Yeah, so again, it'll be August 16th, 17th, and 18th.
Right.
We always fall in the third week of August.
Okay.
But this year it's a little bit early, just because of when the first is. So August 16th, 17th, and 18th. Join us Friday night. We're kicking things off at 4 p.m. But our fireworks on Friday will be around 9 o'clock.
Right, now that's new in the last couple of years, fireworks.
Yeah. Yep, so that's been going on. We're very grateful to Purdue. They sponsor the fireworks. They do an amazing show with a nice, cool set piece that we have every year. And new this year, Greg, something we've done where we're kicking it back a little on Friday, pushing the times back. We're actually going to wrap up fireworks. We're going to have another performer come on stage. We're going to keep the carnival, the food vendors, the beer garden, all of the marketplace, the shooters. They're all going to be running a little later. Because, it always pained me every year. I'd see folks rushing in for the fireworks around 8:30.
Right.
They'd get parked. They'd get out of the car. The fireworks would go off. It's a nice 20, 30-minute show.
Right.
And then it's time to load the kids back up,
right,
get in the car, and go home. So we thought, if folks are going to make it out and they're going to try to make a mad dash to get in there for the fireworks, let's let them hang out with us afterwards. Let's put a performer on the stage, still have food and drinks available, and give them a chance to enjoy it if that's the only night they come out.
Right. You want to preview some of your performers?
Yeah, so Dalton Elliott from, you probably recognize his name from American Idol.
Yeah.
He's going to be joining us on Friday. He's actually going to be one of the first performers we have on the stage.
I never voted for him, though.
Never voted for him. He's awesome, man. He's got a huge Facebook following, and I feel lucky that we were able to sort of pin him down.
Right.
Because he's all over the shore this summer.
Right.
So I'm really excited for him just because I think people will remember him, from television.
Right.
But we've got a lot of other local performers. We've got Front Page News. We've got the Barron Creek guys. So I'm excited. You look at our lineup, and we really focus nowadays on local performers.
Right.
It's great to bring in someone regional who has a following. But what we're noticing is, you're playing a 2-hour set. Folks don't necessarily want to travel 2 or 3 hours. And if they do, their followings can't always travel. So we were doing them a disservice, I think, by having people come in from out of state. And now we're focusing on lower shore performers. And by doing that, friends, family, colleagues can come and support them.
And it's comfortable.
It's comfortable, yeah.
It's not like it's not going to test you in terms of like this is not my taste or anything. It's stuff that everyone can really embrace.
It's stuff that everyone can really embrace. So you'll have some original, sets, but you're also going to have a lot of covers and stuff like that. It's a lot of easy listening, country music, classic rock, southern rock, that kind of stuff. Things you can sing along to, and that's what we want. We want to make sure that grandmom, mom, dad, and their kids can all enjoy the performers. It would be really easy to bring in someone that just the kids would enjoy.
Sure.
It'd be really easy to bring in someone that grandmom and grandpop would enjoy.
Yeah.
Finding somebody that can sort of hit all those demographics can be difficult, but that's why we go with the local bands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
County's repaired that carriage house. It's beautiful in there now.
The carriage house is incredible.
Yeah.
The county executive, the county council, we can't thank of enough.
Yeah.
We're really grateful to have the county as a landlord, but also to have Wicomico County Recreation Parks and Tourism as a strategic partner in this thing. They have expertise and they have resources that we as a nonprofit simply don't have access to. And vice versa. As a nonprofit, we can do things and we can be a little more nimble, than sometimes the county can, just because they're local government.
Right.
So it really has become a great marriage. It's become a great partnership. And I can't imagine how we were ever doing the fair without a partner like that. We did always have the Chamber of Commerce,
right.
and Chamber of Commerce was excellent to work with. But now our landlord is involved in the decision making.
He's totally into it now.
Oh, yeah, right?
Anything I can do to help, and it's like he gets it.
He gets it, and Steve has been instrumental in helping us look out to the future.
Yeah.
So I'd be remiss if I didn't tease you a little bit and say that we've got some plans for the future. Right? We're always trying to grow this thing. Figure out how we can make the infrastructure a little more conducive to the event that we're running, but also ways that we can improve that site for the equestrian club who uses it the other 50 weeks of the year.
Right.
So that we can make it more accessible for the youth league sports programs that are there. So anything we can do to improve the grounds, we're trying to. And I love working with Steve because he's got that vision.
Yeah.
And he also knows the action that's needed to get those things through to fruition. And while Steve is great, I don't want you to put this on camera. His staff may be better.
He says that.
Yeah,
he gives them full credit for everything.
It's incredible. I mean, Steve has the vision, but he's got the guys and gals in place to make it happen.
Yeah.
And when I think about the fair planning, we've got sort of uninhibited access, unrestricted access to 3 or 4 of Steve's staff members and managers there at Rex and Park.
Yeah.
And it's just like they're on our fair board. They now are so deeply ingrained into this event that they can answer questions not only about the parts they focus on, but about the other activities that are going on and all the vendors and all the sponsors. And that's what we want, right? We want a nice cohesive group, but we want it to feel like something that everyone's participating in.
Yeah. No, I just, as a citizen, I loved it when he said that because I was relieved that he's really involved in what's going on.
Yeah, he is. And, some of those new ideas that we're having and some of the layout changes that you've seen, especially in the last 2 years, those come directly from Steve and his staff. Because not only are they familiar with Winter Place, but they've done the beer festivals, they've done the wine festivals, they've done Pork in the Park. They remember how things go, they remember what'll work well. So we really are, we're blessed and we're very grateful to have them as a partner. Honestly, I can't thank them enough.
Now, one little criticism, the Parade of Towns. I loved it when you did that.
Yeah. So
I miss that.
I tell you,
I know it's a big organizational nightmare.
It is. So, and I don't want to be dismissive of it. It was tough, to the logistics.
Yeah.
You had some road closures, but then you were also dealing with some county organizations, some private businesses, some small businesses on a Saturday afternoon who aren't necessarily open, right? So they don't have drivers for their vehicles. They don't have staff to, be there on site and involved in a parade. But it was one of the best events that we had.
I thought it was terrific.
So it's not gone forever.
And for me, at the newspaper, it's all about great pictures.
Yeah.
That made great pictures.
And you had great photos and great video.
Right.
And look, I'm not going to lie to you. We'll be using that promotional video forever because the parade was such a big hit.
Right.
What we had decided on was the logistical challenges were, so prevalent. And then also there was a little bit of inconvenience on the neighbors. We had a full road closure and some things like that, some kinks that will definitely work out before the next one. The Parade of Towns is not gone.
Right.
We'd like to make it more of a milestone type activity, part of the fair. So we'll bring it back to celebrate specific achievements. We'll bring it back to celebrate
a good idea.
Milestones.
Make it special.
Make it special.
Yeah.
Because to that point, we don't want it to become routine.
I mean, you need that sort of competitive thing between the towns even.
I think it keeps people honest, right? Make sure that you're bringing in, the best equipment, and the most modernized equipment. You're going to see some new EMT and emergency equipment at the fair this year that Wicomico County just recently invested in. And it's a direct result of the positive reception of the community for events like this. There's been a very positive response. We want to have more free, large-scale community events. So they're gearing themselves up for that so that they can better accommodate folks. You know, it's hard sometimes to get the full ambulance, the bus,
Right.
through a crowd into a tight confined area. So you're going to see some UTVs and some equipment this year that's going to be brand new.
Cool.
And I'm excited for that. I won't credit and say that the county fair has done any of that. But again, I think
Builds awareness.
I think it builds awareness,
Yeah.
and I think because we now need it, it's a great advantage to the county to have access to those resources and tools.
This event celebrates the agriculture community, the farming community.
Yes, sir.
You're very involved in that. How
Yes,
are
sir.
things going out there for farmers right now?
Yeah, so you know, right now it's a little hot. You know, the middle part of this summer has been a little hot.
Yeah.
So early on,
I think the corn's far enough along though that it's okay, right?
it's in the danger zone.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's starting to get crunchy.
Yeah.
And that's a problem because you see it tasseling.
Yeah.
Which means that we're there. You know, the plant is essentially putting on fruit. It's flowering. It's
Right.
growing that vegetable. So this is really when it needs water. You know, this is really when it needs sufficient sunlight. Sunlight has not been a problem.
Right.
Water around this time of the year always seems to be. So if you remember last crop season in 2018, we had a really wet spring.
Right.
So folks were later than usual getting their crops in. We had some replants. We had a lot of replants.
Right.
So unfortunately, we ran into a similar issue. When we got into late July and early August, there wasn't any water. And that did impact some yields for folks. This year, spring wasn't as difficult. You know, folks were able to get their
Great
crops
year.
in.
May and June was
Yeah,
great.
May and June were great. The rain was coming. It was coming in waves, but it was sufficient to what we needed. Now, late July, early August, let's get some rain. All right, we don't want washouts, but let's get some nice rain, and I think these guys will be in good shape.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Economically, how are we doing?
Economically, in terms of agriculture,
Yeah.
we're doing well. You know, we're looking at prices that have been kind of floating around the same level for the last few years, but there's some positive indicators. The USDA crop reports, you know, those are just projections. They're based on planted acres, so you never know what the yield is going to be, and that's going to affect prices. But all indicators seem to be that our corn prices might be slightly up this fall from where they were last year. Soybeans are kind of tricky on the shore sometimes, just because of the market we're in.
Right.
So soybeans we'll have to hold on and see. But our farmers did get great prices for their wheat,
Right.
which we just got through wheat in the last couple weeks, you know, this past month. And the folks that had a good crop seemed to have decent yields, and the prices were favorable.
Yeah.
So,
I was just on a tour at the Purdue complex there in East Salisbury.
yes, sir.
And I always thought that, like, at harvest time, that Purdue kind of set the price that we're going to pay $2.50 a bushel for corn this year.
Yeah.
But that's not true. The prices are controlled at the Chicago Board of Trade, which I never knew this.
Yeah.
You would think by now I would know this kind of stuff.
It really and Delmarva's an interesting place, you know, because we've got such a high demand and we use so much of that grain
Yeah.
that we grow locally. So yeah, the Chicago Commodity Exchange, you know, that actually sets your price, and then on corn on the shore, you'll get a basis above
Right.
that price because the local integrators like Purdue, Mount Air, Tyson, AMIC, all those, they've realized that it's cheaper to just pay the farmer around the corner
Right.
a small premium than it is to haul it in via rail or truck or even on barge.
Right.
So that's why it can be lucrative to be a grain farmer on Delmarva. Conversely, soybeans don't always get a basis. Usually they're a few points below
Right.
the Chicago price. So, you know, in the last 10 years, I've seen more folks forward contracting. I've seen more folks putting up grain storage than probably ever before. And a lot of that has to do with being able to control your market risk. You know?
Right.
So if you think about irrigation makes sense to all of us.
Right.
You need water at certain times of the year. It's how you mitigate the risk that Mother Nature poses, you know, and guarantee you have some kind of crop. Well, now that you have the crop, you don't want the market to dictate what your margins will be entirely.
Right.
You know, now for some operators, that's just the model. They're going to always be subject to the market price. But for your larger scale operators, and even your your kind of middle of the road family operations, you're seeing the introduction of more storage, and you're seeing them lease storage at places like
Right.
Laurel Grain or Snow Hill Grain,
Right.
or you're seeing them put up small facilities, and that is solely to mitigate that market risk. Because if you've got to sell corn at harvest, the folks you're selling it to, they can sort of dictate what your price will be.
Right.
You know, it's supply demand. You have to get rid of it. You
Right.
don't have anywhere to take it.
Right.
But if you can hold on to that corn and you can sell it later in the fall, or you can really carry it over to the following spring, you can get a premium.
Right.
You can make 30-40% margins on the same grain that you would have sold this fall if you can hold it until next spring.
Well, they're preparing out there for a huge harvest. They're
Yeah.
getting all the ground storage stuff ready to go.
Yes,
and
sir.
It's going to be really exciting to see that.
The ground storage, so silos are one thing, grain
Right.
bins are one thing, but for me, aesthetically, to wrap my head around it, the ground storage
Yeah.
hits home. It shows, I can visualize a pile of something. When you got it in a silo, it's hard, because
Right.
that's a fixed building. It doesn't always
Yeah.
resonate. But when I see a pile of grain, and they've got it covered with those tarps, and,
Yeah.
it's really cool how they store it and weatherize it.
Yeah.
But when I see that, and it's a mountain,
Yeah. And you ride by it and they go, there's 6 million bushels of corn.
it hits home, doesn't it?
What? And we're going to process all of it today.
Yeah, yeah, and it's going to feed chickens that
Yeah.
we're growing locally.
Yeah.
So it really is cool, but I'm excited because I think it's going to be a good rebound year. Whether it'll be a bumper crop and we'll have great prices.
Right.
If I had that crystal ball, I wouldn't be sitting here
Exactly.
with you. But I'm excited because I think these guys and gals that need it are going to have a little bit of a boost.
Okay, recap your event, website, all that stuff.
Yes, so our dates again, we're going to be August 16th, 17th, and 18th. 16th, our ribbon cutting and our grand opening, instead of 2 p.m., it's going to be 4 p.m. now, which means that you're going to be able to hang out with us later on Friday.
Cool.
Have a couple drinks, watch some bands a little later.
I put that ribbon cutting picture in every year.
There you go.
Yeah.
So it'll be running 4 to 11 on Friday the 16th. It'll be running 10 to 10 on Saturday the 17th, and then it'll be running 12 to 6 on Sunday the 18th. Our website is wicomicofair.com. Easy peasy. We've actually got a brand new website. We just rolled it out.
It's beautiful.
It's much more mobile friendly.
Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to do. We realize it's 95 degrees. You're walking around the fair with a paper program.
Right.
You're fumbling through it.
Right.
It can be tricky. So we're going with a full mobile design now. So our full program, our full schedule with the interactive map will all be available on that website. Rather than do a mobile app, something you got to download, you just go to wicomicofair.com. You can find all the information there. You can learn how to be a vendor. You can learn how to be a sponsor. You can learn how to participate in the open classes or the livestock showing, all from our website. If you haven't done it yet, be sure to like us on Facebook, because while the website's great, we share a lot of really fun content on
There's
Facebook.
fun stuff, yeah.
There is.
And it keeps it top of mind. Reminds me that it's coming.
It does. And it encourages you to maybe take that leap and enter into some of those competitive classes
Right.
that you've been kicking around for the last few years. So like us on Facebook. It's Wicomico County Fair. Very interactive page. We run contests. We promote our sponsors. We do calls for vendors. Sometimes we have last minute schedule changes, and that's where you're going to see those things. If there's any issues with weather, if there's any issues with scheduling, we're going to run updates on Facebook. Of course, they'll be pushed to the site, but social media seems to be the way to touch people quickest.
Well, I think you have a thankless job. I just want to thank you for all you do.
I appreciate it.
For the fair. It's just amazing what you do. I'm sure no one ever says thank you, but thank you. And we look forward to it every year, so thanks.
I appreciate it. I really do. And I'm thankful to have the opportunity to bring an event like this to the community. But more importantly, I'm thankful to have the partners we do, to have the volunteers we do. There's a lot of manpower that goes into this thing behind the scenes now.
Yeah.
We've got a board of directors at the Farm and Home Show that's almost 20 people. We've got unrestricted access to county resources and county staff. But that doesn't speak to anything when you think about the thousands
Right.
of competitors
Right.
that come in. And those folks spend all spring and all summer making their crafts, making their artwork, growing the crops that they put in to compete, and as we talked, building a relationship and training their animals, whether it be livestock or equine. So I'm thankful to have the opportunity to do it. I'm glad the community appreciates it, and I look forward to seeing you out there this summer.
He's Zach Evans. He's going to run our county fair this year again and do another tremendous job, and we thank him for being here today. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Greg.
I'm Greg Bassett from the Salisbury Independent Newspaper. Another edition of 101 right here on Pack 14.
First Shore Federal is proud to support PAC 14 and one-on-one. We'd encourage every business to support PAC 14 and pick a program and support it, and let's make a difference.